Alrighty, so it is currently of recording a Sunday afternoon after work, coming off the high that was technically this morning's main event of UFC 320. You might hear a dryer in the background or a TV. It's okay, we work through these things. Let's go for that. Little tease there. Now that it's been concluded and the 320 is over, and I did very well on my picks and predictions, shout out to myself, okay? Feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, follow the channel, do whatever you want, as long as you get my prediction videos in, so that you can be well informed of I'd consider myself a hardcore at this point. 3 years experience, I've watched every single card, top to bottom. Love this sport, I inject it into my veins daily. I'm talking about the sport, no drug uses. Drugs will never make me feel the way I do when I talk about some of these fighters on this list. And this video is basically going to be me running through how we're finally seeing signs of a golden era. We're back, baby. We won at UFC 20 as the fan base, alright? We finally have violence back. We have fun fights back. And fraudulent fucking Mickey Mouse records are going fucking through the trash can, okay? Only credentialed veterans, high-level, credited fucking beasts are allowed in the UFC. They are the ultimate fighters. Now, with that being said, I do want to talk about Alex Pereira's performance at UFC 320 and why I think he is the best combat sport. We don't have to say he's the best MMA fighter of all time. John Jones fans, you can keep on gobbling his fucking cock and balls and say that he's the best of all time. I myself prefer saying either Demetrius Johnson or GSP is the greatest of all time in my personal opinion. But, that's a debatable topic. Best combat sport athlete, though, of all time, I genuinely think is Alex Pereira. We'll get to it. Then I want to talk about Yuri Prochazka and how actual credited fucking warriors, people bred for this sport, literally just in their DNA have violence and warrior spirits. This is the type of shit we need, especially moving into a Paramount Plus era where we thought might be the dark age. But I think we're seeing the light, boys. I think we might be seeing a golden age on the horizon. And then I also want to talk about something that people forget, man. Diego Lopez might have been the Brazilian legend himself, showing us the signs that we were in a different era. Alright, the new era has started. Now, to start off, I want to talk about Alex Pereira. Obviously, man of the hour, man of the day, man of UFC 320. What a fucking G. Just a phenomenal performance, I think, and listen, you can say, like, oh, there's, big people in the space that were saying Pereira by KO or some shit, and they predicted it right. Hey, full credit to them. I think the majority narrative, the majority of people picking, despite like Tapology picks and stuff like that, because picks and bets are two different things. I would say most of the money, I don't even know, because maybe a lot of people made a lot of money on Pereira. I did myself, hand up. Hey, $7 on Pereira. That was a nice $30 cash out. But regardless of that fact, I felt like the narrative going into the Ankalaev Pereira fight was Pereira was going to get masterclassed, and I myself was in that mindset as well, because like I like Pereira. I've picked Pereira in every single fight except for this one. Literally, I picked him in every single fight, and I just think Pereira is really good, but 38 years old, pushing 39, alright, and then on top of that, there's a lot of questionable things going into it, He had a very flat performance against Magomed Ankalaev, and he was literally outstruck on the feet. He was outboxed by Ankalaev, a Dagestani guy. He was able to stuff all the takedowns, but they don't give a fuck about stuffing takedowns. So when we're looking at decisions, I think a lot of people were picking Pereira. A lot of people were picking Magomed Ankalaev, myself included. But Pereira is fucking different, bro. This guy is a different breed of human. And not in the Sean Woodson, laying eggs in the ventilation system way. I'm talking like, bro, this guy is built for this shit. He literally has death in his hands. And he's what I imagine, like what I imagine the old fan base, and as I said, I've only been watching for about 3 years, so maybe I'm a little bit of casual, alright, to your standards, but regardless of that, I imagine what people thought Brock Lesnar was going from WWE to UFC. That's what I imagine this was if Brock Lesnar became champ, defended as champ. You know, maybe he lost one fight and then he won that fight back. But, like, he went from kickboxing, whooping a UFC champion in kickboxing, right? Becoming the first, I think, glory kickboxer to hold 2 belts and defend in 2 divisions or some shit like that. And then on top of that, he goes to MMA, and you can say it was a Mickey Mouse rise, right? Like, he beat, Andreas Michailidis, you know? And then he smoked, well, I didn't smoke, but he had a decision with Bruno Silva. Then he got instantly thrown up the rank list. Alright, little spit on my monitor there. Got instantly thrown up the rank list against Sean Strickland, alright, for a #1 contender. So he literally had 3 fights in the UFC, and he was given a title match. But, I mean, to be fair, he did beat this guy he beat this guy twice in Glory Kickboxing already. You can argue, like, oh, well, one of those was a robbery, but the other one was a KO. Don't give a fuck. You know, on the record is all they care about. And he beat him twice, got the 3rd fight in UFC in an MMA match, and beat him in the MMA match. You can say he was losing 4 rounds, but he ended up getting the nod, right? Lost in the rematch, it is what it is. He moves up a weight class, dominates in the weight class. In 2 years, this guy dominated the fucking weight class. Way better than the arguable, I guess it's like inarguable, but the best light heavyweight on the best light heavyweight in the UFC, John Jones. Pereira dominated a better generation of fighters. Way better than John Jones did as his fucking, what, like 10-year run? Doesn't matter. Pereira built different, and he didn't test positive for PEDs, and he doesn't eye poke to win his fucking fights, and he doesn't illegally oblique kick people to break their knees and get away with fighting arguable welterweights, maybe some even fucking lightweights, alright? A lot of those guys are pretty pudgy, you know, fighting older gentlemen. He is the older guy, fighting a better generation in Jan Blachowicz is older, to be fair, but after the Jan Blachowicz one, Yuri Prochazka, young killer, former champion, hasn't lost in the UFC until he met Pereira. Jamal Hill, former champion. I want to say he didn't lose in the UFC until Pereira as well. No, he lost to Paul Craig. I forgot about that. Yeah. But regardless, Jamal Hill never been KO'd in the UFC, if you will. And yeah, he gets KO'd by Alex Pereira. Gets the Yuri rematch because the first fight was an arguable stoppage and people were doubting Alex Pereira. So what does he do? Puts on a masterclass in the rematch, showing that it wasn't a fluke. Then he fights Khalil Roundtree, a short notice, still younger opponent. Khalil Roundtree, I don't rate that high. I think he's barely a ranked level light heavyweight, but it's still like it is still a win. You know, if people are counting Khabib being so dominant, even though he went to a fucking decision with Ally Quinta for the belt, a Khalil Roundtree masterclass in round 3 and 4, that counts way better than an Ally Quinta fucking title win. I'm sorry, it does. All right, if you're gonna fucking put Khabib in like a pound for pound GOAT list or whatever, people overglaze the fuck out of that fighter. But regardless of that. Then he loses to Magomed Ankalaev, and this is where it's like, okay, Pereira had a good run, it was short but sweet, but, you know, Magomed Ankalaev, he's a Dagestani, they love this guy, he's going to get the nod on the judges' scorecards if it's a close fight. That's just how it works in It's just how it works for certain people, you know, but, yeah. Like, even though it was a close fight, Magomed, I thought, clearly won. He was gonna get the nod, even if it was even closer. And we were in the era of boring striking for light heavyweight, shit fucking fights, whatever. Even though Yuri might, you know, despite all that, gets the credited rematch he deserved. Masterclassing people in a year. Literally, what, like 4 fights in 1 year? October? Yeah, literally 4 fights in 1 year. July, yeah, this guy literally, God, this guy's so fucking cool, bro. He's so cool. Anyways, he had 4 fights in a year. I don't know if he has, like, the quickest turnaround for a champion, but it might be something like that. Or I think the most, like, title defenses would have been if he beat Magomed Ankalaev in, like, a span of time or some shit like that. There was a weird stat like that going around. But regardless, he lost the fight, and it was, like, Pereira, a striker, Yeah, he defended the takedowns, but he got outstruck. And it was like, oh, red flags, Pereira, he's getting older, father time takes all, like the narratives get spun. And he comes back in the rematch, and he whooped Magomed Ankalaev. Not like, oh, that round's close. I don't know. That might be a flip round, you know. The Pereira got, you know, round 1 was very clear Pereira, but, you know, round 2 he did get wobbled. Round 3 is a toss-up, you know. I don't know. You know, round 4 also a little close in moments for both fighters, but, you know, we'll give that to Magomed Ankalaev because commentary's glazing him. You know, oh, round 5, also another close round, but, you know, we'll give it to Magomed Ankalaev because commentary's fucking glazing him. But regardless of that, you know, the leg kicks weren't working out in round 1 for Pereira, and it was literally like, this was like a fire type meeting a ground type, a ground and rock type. It's like, brother, this is not good. This is the type to beat Alex Pereira. We've seen it. Alex is done, and he comes back in the rematch, and he whoops his ass after he was talking all that shit. Oh, we'll let the fist do the talking Saturday night. Shama is dead. Shama. The edits are absolutely gonna go crazy. I love this man, bro. Goddamn, I'm not gay, but I love this man. Alex Pereira literally won it for the fans. He knocked out Magomed Ankalaev, a guy who's never been knocked out in the UFC. He did get submitted by Paul Craig, the great Paul Craig. You know, the underrated, undisputed light heavyweight GOAT. But, you know, we don't have to say Pereira is the best light heavyweight champion of all time. This guy is a double champ, shooting for triple champ. And I'm saying it right now, 10 toes down. I don't give a fuck if he gets the 3rd belt. I don't give a fuck if he beats John Jones. He could lose to John Jones, he could retire right now, or he could lose to Aspinall. Literally the 3 worst cases for Pereira. This guy is the best combat sport athlete to ever do it. I don't give a fuck about the Olympics. Olympics don't really mean shit, in my opinion, as far as I've seen. You know, I'm looking at you, Henry Cejudo, alright? Fucking, oh, gold medalist fucking, wrestler or whatever the fuck it was, you know? Doesn't fucking matter, because Merab can out-cardio you. But my thing is just like, Pereira's done so much in such little time. At the disadvantage, there's a statistic, I think it's like 60% or more than 60% chance, or more than 60% of the younger fighters beat older fighters. And there's probably another statistic on the old title defenders versus the young up-and-comers. And Pereira is just different, bro. He's just different. He's pushing 40, whooping prime Ankalaev. The first fight with Ankalaev was the worst Ankalaev. That was during Ramadan Ankalaev. That was Ankalaev being pushed to fight earlier than he intended to, because he wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi for some reason, and get the fight like under his terms in his territory, but he wasn't going to get that. So he got rushed, and that was the worst version of Ankalaev, and he beat Pereira, which Pereira was radio silent on his injuries and everything like that, but turned out might have had some truth to it. On top of all that, bro, like, he's so fucking cool, bro. He's just Shama. I know some people don't fuck with it because he doesn't like talk that much, and maybe he's on the Nina drama shit a little too much. I get it. It's just cool to have a guy with aura. I don't give a fuck if he speaks English or not. I think it's kind of better, you know? He doesn't need to speak the language to have fans rally behind him that come from different backgrounds and shit, you know? That's what this fucking's about. That's why we watch this sport, bro. It's so fucking... Oh, it just hits different, man. Oh, I love it. Anyways. Yeah, in my opinion, I don't care what happens to Pereira. He could go down the worst case scenarios right now. He could lose to Aspinall, then John Jones. He could lose to... It doesn't matter. I think he's inarguable the best combat sport athlete to do it. We haven't seen a boxer come over to MMA and do well. We haven't seen a WWE fighter come over and be like the success level of Pereira, a dominant champion fighting young, hungry contenders in a modern era. And I get it, it's like, this is the era, but like, that's another thing, man. I get Henry Cejudo came over from the Olympics and AA, whatever the fuck the wrestling shit is, and he came into MMA and he did well. It's a different era right now, and I think we can all agree the light heavyweights now, yes, they're shit. They still beat out like 95% of the fucking light heavyweights from before. All right. No offense to Rampage Jackson and fucking who else was there? Leota Machida and all these fucking like, bro. I'm sorry. They were cool for the era, and it was sick to watch them fight in that era. It's a different era. Yuri kills all of them. Jamal Hill kills all of them. I'll be honest, Jamal Hill probably smokes Rampage. He probably does. You know? Maybe you could disagree with that one, but, you know, Khalil Roundtree would probably smoke him. Just saying, man. Like, a lot of the old light heavyweights were fat fucking middleweights that didn't want to cut weight. That's what it was. Now we have actual legit light heavyweights. It's what it is, you know? As much as I shit on Khalil Roundtree, he's a legit light heavyweight. Name one legit, like what? Gustafsson, maybe? Even like the Gustafsson and like Glover might be the only exception, but Glover trains Pereira and it's just like, bro, it's just a circle, bro. Oh, I love this sport. Anyways. Yeah, I'm still coming off that high, even though I'm still fucking tired of shit. Really happy for Pereira. Pereira, I think, went against all odds. I get it. He wasn't like the biggest underdog in UFC history, some shit like that. I'm just pointing out, this guy beat a prime, fully hydrated Ankalaev at Ankalaev's best as champion. And you know what they say, man? You know, people forget, man. They say when you become champ, you get like, what, 20% better? That was a narrative not too long ago. I remember that narrative, you know? And all of a sudden, Ankalaev gets fucking smoked and people forget, you know? But regardless, I think he's done enough to be the best combat sport athlete. We haven't seen Bellator fighters come over to UFC and get belts other than, what, like Eddie Alvarez? That fucking bum who got smoked by Conor McGregor. That was a shit fight. I think Eddie Alvarez is one of the most overrated fucking fighters of... Maybe not overrated, but I think he's one of the worst champions of all time. He was dog shit. And then on top of that, outside of him... And we're talking about... And this is the thing I want to get across, just in case you're, like, not on what I'm thinking. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, modern era fighters are so much more technical and well-rounded than old era fighters. It's not even up for debate. I think it's inarguable. And the only reason why you'd pick like Rampage in his prime, back in Pride, to beat fucking like Yuri Prohaska is purely because you watch Rampage as a kid, or you like when you got into the sport was like Rampage on the come up or some shit like that. Like that's the only reason why you pick it. I get why you pick it, but it's not like, be in reality for a second. Modern era fighters are just better. And that's not like a blanket statement for every single modern fighter. There are dumb, like fucking terrible ones. Patchy Mix being one of them. But yeah, that's another thing. Like modern era, like Patchy Mix, Patrice Pitbull. I get Patrice is a little bit past his prime. MVP, again, a little bit past their prime. These guys aren't going to be champions in the UFC. And I love MVP. I'm a D1 MVP Glazer, right? He's not becoming a champion in any fucking division at any point. It's just not going to happen. But for Alex Pereira to come from kickboxing, not even like an MMA sport, he's from a completely different combat sport that works completely different than what it is in MMA. MMA, like, that's a mix of everything, and you have to learn about everything, like how Muay Thai strikers fight, how fucking, not kickboxers because he's a kickboxer, but like boxers and, you know, grapplers, and he whooped a Dagestani in round 1. He whooped his ass. He started instantly with a fucking, I think it was like a right hand or a left hand, had Ankalaev on the back foot, cracked Ankalaev. Look who's a wrestler now! Dagestani shoots a sloppy takedown, and what do you know? Pereira lays him out and just fucking elbows the shit out of him. I loved it. It hits like crack every time I think about it. Oh, the edits just go hard. It's amazing, man. It's just amazing. So, Pereira, even though he might lose his next fight, he might lose to John Jones. I don't mind his odds now that I've seen this. A motivated Pereira hits different. Fully recovered Pereira might hit different, you know? But I think regardless of anything, he's the best combat sport athlete. You can agree to disagree in the comments if you want. But I just think it's inarguable, and I don't think there's going to be another combat sport athlete to do the same thing. You know, we would have to see like Terrence Crawford come over and like have success or something like that, but I just don't see it happening. You know, that's literally what we're seeing here. Just for reference, we're seeing like a Mike Tyson come over to like UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. And by far, I think everyone understands UFC level is a different level compared to everything else. Now again, not all UFC fighters are different level compared to everything else, but I think for the most part, like Bellator champs and shit like that, there may be unranked to bottom 15 in most divisions. I think we can comfortably say that, you know? So I think Pereira's had success in multiple organizations. He's had success in 2 different combat sports, and I think that makes him the best combat sport athlete to ever walk the planet of the earth. And that's mainly because he's a double champ. It's rare to become a double champ. He's shooting for triple champ, and he's actually got like fair odds, I'd say. Maybe like plus 200 to John Jones, something like that. But it's wild to think about, man. It's just a wild ride this sport is. So that's my pick for like combat sport athlete all time. And then Jiri Prochazka proving that skills and credentials fucking mean something. I love it. Same thing goes for Diego Lopez, so I'll group these two because this video is already kind of running long. I've already glazed Pereira enough, but Jiri's only been shinned by Pereira in the UFC. I didn't realize he's actually been KO'd before. That kind of sucks. Regardless, okay. Yeah. He had a run in the UFC, crazy run, gets the belt, has an injury, gets smoked by Pereira coming off that injury. It is what it is. Beats the fuck out of Rakic in a tough fight. Very, very tough fight where Rakic was like really pouring that pepper on him, as some would say. But ended up surviving and then whooping Rakic in the second round. And then in the rematch against Pereira, he gets masterclass. It is what it is. Pereira might just be the rock ground type to Jiri's fire type, if you catch my drift. But then he fights Jamal Hill, proves that he was the better injured champ, I guess, because Jamal Hill also formerly had an injury. And then in the Khalil Roundtree fight, there was a lot of people saying that Khalil Roundtree was going to win, and this is just, maybe it's just different for me. Yes, that was a shit-looking Jiri Prochazka. I think everyone can agree that was the worst-looking Jiri Prochazka I think that has ever shown up to the UFC. You could argue Glover Teixeira. He did kind of look a little not totally there, you know? But something interesting about the like Glover one is that he still looked technical, you know? He still looked like he had his game plan going. Khalil Roundtree was up 2 rounds going into the third, and even though Jiri said after the fight, I knew in round 1 he punched me, he hit me hard, and I knew from then I will get this guy. Even though he said shit like that, like he knew in round 1 he was going to win the fight, he was down 2 rounds, and in the third round, when it was getting fucking sloppy and people were throwing fucking hooks and elbows on the inside and shit, Jiri didn't break, and this guy's just unbreakable. Requires a different level of power to put his lights out. And this is prime Jiri, and it just showcases, man. Like, genuinely, even the worst Jiri, I think beats prime John Jones. Maybe that's a hot take, but, you know, I think John Jones would get fucked up by Jiri Prochazka. And I think, like, even all the light heavyweights, like, oh, maybe you could disagree and say, like, John Jones would win. I'm not going to argue that too much, but we can say Rampage, like, all old era fighters, doesn't fucking matter. Jiri beats them all. The best of the old era was probably Glover Teixeira or John Jones. And he already beat Glover Teixeira. I get it, he got wobbled. Who got the nod? That was Jiri Prochazka. And he proved that in the Khalil Roundtree fight. Because I was worried for Jiri just because of, like, how fights have been going, where a lot of people with just Mickey Mouse records. I don't like the idea of that ranking shouldn't exist and all this shit. I really like being able to be like, this guy is number 10 in the world at this division because he's beat all these people. Yeah, he lost to the champ or whatever, but, I mean, that's losing to the champ. It happens, you know? Other than that, he's done all this, and maybe he's not the best in the world, but he's one of the best, and we can say that because of this. Khalil Roundtree's claim to fame is getting whooped by Alex Pereira. I like Khalil Roundtree, former fat kid. Hey, former 300-pound man here, but I just want to point out, I'm just happy that, bro, credentials mean something. It's the same thing with Gene Silva. Gene Silva, Diego Lopez, and people forget, man, this was about 3 weeks ago, as of recording this. Lopez, Gene Silva. Lopez was a plus 200 dog, I think plus 300 closing odds. I made money on the fight. I picked Diego Lopez by round 2 KO. I called it perfectly. MMA Guru had to take my fucking pick, alright? I get it. Sometimes he's got to get his research from somebody, alright? I'm just happy I was that guy. Obviously, I'm joking, but regardless of that, I did pick Diego Lopez to beat Gene Silva, and people were like, this is the thing with the MMA community, too. The moment fights like this get announced, I remember the narratives, man. I watch a lot of predictors, a lot of people. And I'm not saying, oh, they shouldn't have done it for the Ankalaev Pereira fight, because I get it, right? He did just get whooped, and there's not really much reason to be picking Alex Pereira, but in the Yuri fight, there's no reason in my head to pick Khalil Roundtree, and there were some people genuinely picking Khalil Roundtree, being like, Yuri don't got it, Khalil Roundtree, he's just got, clean boxing, and the way the commentary fucking glazes him because of Joe Rogan and his stupid fucking podcast pisses me off. Every time Yuri, jab, dodge, right hand, fucking body kick, yes, and then fucking, Khalil lands one hook. Oh my god, look at the Khalil counter. Oh my god. This guy, man, I've seen this guy grow up. People forget, man. His calf kicks are some of the best in the game. Khalil Roundtree, formerly 300 pounds, man. People forget, man. Just get the fuck out of him. Anyways, that's a whole topic for a different day. Regardless, the Gene Silva Diego Lopez one pissed me off. Because, who the fuck has Gene Silva beat? Melsek Bogdasarian, Bryce Mitchell, and Drew Dober up a weight class. Drew Dober fucking sucks and was just chinned in round 1 by kind of a bum, in my opinion. Bryce Mitchell just moved to bantamweight, so congrats, Gene Silva. You beat a guy up a weight class. Wow. And it didn't even look like Bryce Mitchell was up a weight class in that fight. It looked like Gene Silva was kind of small, even though he got the win. And then, Melsek Bogdasarian. And then outside of that, name the other one. Name the other one. Oh, why don't you? Why don't you? What was his name? Other than Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain's a G, but, that's a topic for a different day. What was his debut? Weston fucking Wilson? One of the pound-for-pound worst fighters of all time? Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. Gene Silva was not going to beat Diego Lopez. Khalil Roundtree was not going to beat Yuri Prochazka. They are built fucking different. They are built for this shit. Yes, they had moments of success, but that doesn't matter if they get fucking finished. Ugh. We fight. Weather storm. Fight like warrior. Samurai. Give me belt next. Diego Lopez, yeah, he lost to Volk. He whooped Brian Ortega. Yeah, he lost a round to fucking, what's that guy's name? Dan Ige? Oh, wow. Oh, he lost a round. Oh, fucking cry about it. That gives you enough reason to pick against him? It's just crazy to me when they do these odds. Especially after all the fighting nerds getting fraud checked. It's crazy to me. The narratives that get spun. And I remember these pick and prediction channels, and I'm not going to name them because I respect a lot of them, despite me being on the complete opposite side. But the way the way MMA community glazes just whoever is, not a bigger name, I guess? I don't even know how to describe it. They glaze, whoever the UFC narrative is trying to promote, I think is the best way to put it. The way the fan base will glaze it is absolutely insane. The Gene Silva fight was people were acting like Lopez had no chance. Lopez's opponents were, Lopez would have lost to Gene Silva's opponents. What planet are we fucking on, bro? Are we watching the same sport? Anyways, but yeah, it was just people had crazy takes. And I get it, that's part of the sport, and that's kind of the fun part of the sport, when you see all these wild takes, and then you get to be like, ha, oh, your boy, huh? Your boy, Khalil Roundtree it was, huh? Oh, you thought he was going to KO Yuri, huh? That's the fun part, but it's just wild to me. We got violence back, and they're fun fighters, man. None of this boring Khabib fucking lay on Ally Quinta for 5 rounds. Wow. Merab. Love the guy's personality. Hate the way he fights. Wow. You failed 20 takedowns in a fight. And need him to the thigh. Wow. What a great fighter, man. Crazy. Oh, wow. It's getting dangerous for you, Volkanovski. Or it's getting dangerous for you, Islam Makhachev, in the Volkanovski first fight. Wow. You get his back in round 4 and just barely survive. And then in round 5, you nearly get finished, but you still get the nod in Australia. I do think Islam won that fight, but a lot of modern... Man, fucking Khamzat Chimaev's last performance. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, the champs we have right now... Pantoja, I got respect for. He's not the most fun all the time, but he's an elite fighter. Merab, boring as fuck. Volk, he's alright, but he's getting in talks for being boring, you know, if his personality wasn't so great. Ilya Taporia, built different. JDM, if Islam wins, it'll be interesting. But Khamzat Chimaev, boring as fuck. Magomed Ankalaev would have been boring as fuck. Tom Aspinall's reinvigorating why heavyweight can actually be a interesting division. But we were shaping up for like a very boring fucking era not too long ago, you know? And I just think, you know, if Umar would have beat fucking Merab, oh my god, the amount of glaze Umar would have got for that. Holy shit. But regardless, I'm just happy we have violence. I'm happy we have fun fights. I'm happy we have great main events. Sometimes. We should get it all the time. UFC, hey, bald man, listen up. We should be having it all the time. But regardless, I'm just happy that there's good fights. You know, there was a stretch not too long ago where it was fucking boring as shit. Olberg, Reyes, I did not find that fun. Maybe some did, but I did not find that fun. You know, Amavov, Kaio, boring as fuck. Walker, Zhang Yang, just don't give a fuck about either of them. Khamzat Dricus, boring as fuck. Roman, Anthony Hernandez, honestly not really that great of a fight. It was good for Hernandez, I guess, but not really that great. Shit, short notice replacement fight. You know, Whitaker, even RDR, Whitaker was kind of boring. It had moments, but it was kind of boring. You know, but there's just a lot of fights where they were just boring as fuck, you know. And then we get every once in a while we get Ilya Charles type of fight, you know. So I'm happy we're no longer in the dark era, especially coming after the fucking domination from Khamzat Chimaev, guys. Wow. You know, and now Khamzat's barking up at light heavyweight like Alex Pereira gives a fuck, you know. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about. I'm just happy as a UFC fan. Alex Pereira might be the best combat sport athlete of all time. He is, in my opinion. Feel free to correct me and maybe bring up somebody else that you think is a better combat athlete who has more accolades than Alex Pereira in their respected combat sports. And then Yuri Prohaska bringing violence back and showcasing like actual credentials and being at the high level for a long period of time means something. And then Diego Lopez showcasing that there are different level. He is high level. Okay, so that's all I gotta say. That's all I want to talk about. I'm coming off the high. UFC, like, I genuinely don't think I could ever do drugs, because watching Yuri Prohaska, Diego Lopez, or Alex Pereira win a fight hits harder than any drug. It does. It'll hit. I don't think a drug will ever make me feel the way that these three men do right here. You know, pause. But that's all I wanted to say. If you made it to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching. Stay tuned for my breakdown. I'll be breaking down next event, which is Oliveira Gamrot this weekend. I'll be recording that right after this, but I'll probably be posting it like Thursday or some shit. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.